SteamDeck killer. We hear it every single month. Every time a new Chinese handheld or a big budget Windows machine leaks, the headline starts screaming that Valve is finally in trouble and that we've got a Steam Deck killer on the loose, and you know what? Even the Switch 2 needs to be careful. But look at this. Lenovo is reportedly bringing a foldable handheld to MWC in Barcelona on March 2nd. A 7.7-inch screen that unfolds into an 11.6-inch monster. They're calling it the Legion Go Fold. Is this device the one that finally puts the Steam Deck in the ground? Well, no. In fact, I think this might be the most over-engineered piece of tech that we've seen in a decade. Today, we're looking at the leaks, the specs, and why this foldable future is actually a massive step backwards for people who actually play games. See, it's got kind of an identity crisis in the specs. Let's take a look at the, quote, meat cause of this leak. Lenovo is basically trying to sell you 4 devices in one. First is a standard 7.7-inch handheld. Sounds good, right? 2, it's a vertical split screen that folds up like a DS-style machine. 3, it's an 11.6-inch Horizon tablet. 4, a full-blown desktop with a wireless keyboard and mouse. On paper, this thing sounds like the ultimate tech enthusiast dream. In reality, it's a 48-watt battery trying to power a nearly 12-inch OLED display. If you ever use the Windows handheld, you know the struggle. We are still fighting for 2 hours of battery life on a 7-inch screen. What do you think is going to happen when you double the surface area and keep the same tiny battery? You're going to be tethered to a wall outlet 10 minutes into your Cyberpunk session as if you were a 10-year-old holding a Sega Game Gear. Listen, the brain of the situation is kind of the Intel problem, right? The leak says that this is going to run the Intel Core 7. Now, it's the Lunar Lake model, the 258V. We're in 2026. Panther Lake is out. We've seen what the next generation of efficiency looks like, and Lenovo is launching a future concept with a 2-year-old processor. I'm not one to cry about old tech and new gadgets, for God's sake. I love my Switch too, but this tells me one of two things. Either this device has been in development hell for so long that the hardware is already dated, or Lenovo knows that this is just a gimmick to show off at a trade show and they don't want to waste their best chips on it. And then, sure, 32 gigabytes of RAM is nice, but RAM doesn't fix a folding hinge that's going to collect dust, skin cells, and Cheeto dust the second you take that thing on a plane. This is where I get frustrated because Lenovo has some of the best engineering in the game. Look at the original Legion Go. It was bold. But this fold concept is kind of the Asha Sharma of hardware. It's a corporate solution to a problem that shouldn't have existed. Who asked for this? Who sat down and said, man, I love me some Steam Deck, but I really wish it had a crease in the middle and it folded up with a fragile OLED panel that costs as much as I need to get a used car replaced. I don't think anybody did. You know what we do want? We want a handheld with a better battery. We want lighter builds. And we want Windows 11 to stop acting like the desktop OS on a 7-inch screen. We don't want vertical split screen modes. It looks cool, don't get me wrong. We don't want it so we can watch a Twitch stream while playing Elden Ring at the same time. Or what is this thing for? Mobile games or tape mode shooters? If I'm playing a game that requires my attention, I'm not going to be looking at the second half of a screen. It worked on the DS, but it was on a much smaller form factor. This iPadification of gaming, it's multitasking for the sake of multitasking, and frankly, it could kill the immersion. And then there's the Steam Deck killer myth, of course. The reason the Steam Deck wins isn't because it has the biggest screen or the flashiest hinge. It's winning because of Valve's focus. It is a gaming console first, background PC last. Lenovo's Fold is trying to be a laptop, a tablet, a desktop, and a handheld. And when you try to be everything, you usually end up being mediocre at all of them or nothing. Remember, everything is an Xbox. And if everything is an Xbox, then nothing is an Xbox. Same thing here. Think about the ergonomics of this thing. An 11.6 inch handheld. Have you held an iPad Pro with controllers attached to it? It's a lever, it's heavy, it's awkward. Your wrist will be screaming after 20 minutes. And for what? To see a slightly bigger version of a UI that wasn't designed for that aspect ratio in the first place. So, the bottom line, who is this for? This is for the person who wants to flex at a coffee shop. It's for the person who cares more about looking cool, about the concept, than it is about the play. Lenovo does have a history of bringing these concepts to market. They did it with the Auto Twist laptop. But just because you can fold a screen doesn't mean you should put it into a device that's meant to be tossed into a backpack and used on a bus. If this thing launches, what do you think the cost is going to be? You think it's going to be Steam Deck prices or Switch 2 prices? Hell no. You think it's going to be ROG Ally Xbox X prices? Hell no. It's going to be $1,800 to $2,000 easy. For that price, you could buy a Steam Deck OLED, a high-end gaming laptop, and still have money left over for a library of games. Maybe not a high-end gaming laptop, but a gaming laptop. A capable one. Listen, I want to see innovation. I love to see these types of concepts. I really do. But the innovation needs to serve the gamer, the player, the user experience, not the marketing department. The Legion Go Fold feels like, look what we can do kind of project, while the rest of us are still waiting for a handheld that can actually last, I don't know, more than 65 miles on the highway without dying. I'll be watching MWC on March 2nd. I'll see the shiny trailers and the Horizon mode marketing. But until they solve that battery and price, the Steam Deck and the Switch 2, they aren't going anywhere. But let me know what you guys think. Are you ready to embrace the foldable future? Or is this just another priced gimmick that's going to end up in a drawer in 6 months? A $2,200 gimmick. Let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me here at Starflagmedia Gaming. Please like, share, subscribe, leave that comment. I will be reading all of them. I will catch you in the next video. Peace.